Yes. Afternoon, Christine. We are live after much technical difficulties, but these things happen. I will try to figure it out on my downtime why I couldn't get you to join this stream. Everything
Sure.
else seemed to be working, but I'll have a sit down and look at it and see what is the reason for that. Because on this device it happens automatically, and that one it will show up, and it's that's not happening. So guess what? God is good. We're here and we have a nice topic to talk on today. And funny enough, I was listening to another stream of somebody else who I follow, the Pascal Show, and he was talking about something very similar to what we are going to talk about today, right? The topic today is simply a straight statement. We need to stop comparing our reality to other people's fiction. And that came out of social media posts and stuff, which I had nice and up on my other device I'm using now to bring some points from a company called Valiant Living that actually helps people with things like this. But now I can't see because I use a device to talk to you to do this live stream. As a whole other thing, but I have things in my head that I need to see. But I just wanted to read some statistics, so that will happen maybe another time. I could always
Sure.
post it maybe in the description. Yeah. So let's
That's a
get
good
our
idea.
intro started and get going. So Christine, let me tell you something. There's always a challenge in everything we go to do, right? Every single time we go to do something, there'll be a challenge, right? There's always something. So you know what? Guess what? God is good, and in with technology, we in is man made and things happen. So I really wanted to have the other type of screen, but I'll have to use this one today. And I'll figure out during the week what's causing that. So this topic today came about because was listening to one of my favorite pastors, Nona Jones, and she's a member of the TBN family. So I don't really listen to TBN, but I like there's a forum where these women get together, you know, better together living and TV, and she's one of the people who I love to listen to. Her story is so profound, and she's such a an anointed woman, And I like it.
Yes.
And she was speaking about that, She actually was referring to a conference she was having for women,
Yeah.
and there was this person. There's this influencer. No, that's a word now that people use in trying to replace mentor. Long time we had mentors, and we had people who we looked up to, our heroes, and our whatever it is. But now we have influencers. Okay, so we live in a different time, a different place, a different world. And she said this woman was always so very positive. She had motivational talks every day, and she was always dressed to the nines and always looked so good. Her bags, her hair, her red bottom shoes, and all these things. So she thought to herself, I want to reach out to her because I would like her to be a part of my panel. I want to have her on my panel with this women's conference.
Right.
Lo and behold, when she did reach this woman, it was because this person actually was a homeless person,
Uh-oh.
literally living on somebody's couch,
Wow.
right? Living
Mm-hmm.
in somebody's couch. So she rented, there are these places where you could go and rent these bags, designer bags, and rent these clothes, take some pictures for a couple of hours, take them back. It doesn't cost a whole lot.
Right.
And apparently that was her thing. And that was her way really to try to for you to see her and to step into the limelight and maybe to get jobs and whatever it is. So that was her life. But look at the impact she had on someone as influential as Nona, who actually saw her as somebody who could actually be a part of her conference stage to speak to women about positivity. When her life was really in a minus, right? It wasn't really in a positive state. But I mean, maybe her mind was in the right place. She was thinking of maybe putting herself out there so people could get to see her. But why I want to talk about this? Because this is happening. I mean, because I talk to a lot of women, right, and young girls,
Yes.
and the subject always comes up about other people.
Right.
Almost every time you listen to like a talk show or you listen to some kind of anything, one of the first names you hear come up is Beyonce.
Right.
Now, I have nothing against the woman, absolutely nothing against her. But my thing is that she's a human being, just like everybody else. She's
Mm-hmm.
successful, because maybe she was in the right place at the right time, and she mingled with the right people, right? But to me, if I am going to talk to young girls about a role model, I would not use her. There are other people I can use, but to each his own, right? And there are many people who strive, even people in the industry that she's in, music and showmanship. If you look at some of the patterns of their clothing and the way they behave, they all try to pattern themselves after her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me make this point that there is nothing wrong in having someone you look up to. There's nothing wrong in having somebody who you really like, and you know what, who can influence the way you see yourself and and where you want to go. Nothing wrong with that. But it's gone to another level now where it is almost as though people don't have a mind of their own. And this is not just young, this is not just millennials. This is people across the age groups. I speak to women on all different age groups. And these are people who just don't know themselves. They have no identity. And everything for them is on the technology side of life. They go there to see who they can see and try to emulate them instead of trying to be who God made them to be on this earth. Because we all were created with skills and talents, and we all have different, you know, things to carry in life or different ways to carry with ourselves. But
Yes.
I always speak about authenticity. We need to always to be who we are. Enough of this kind of thing. And before I move on, this is just my opinion. These are we just give our opinions here, right? So
Sure.
just so everybody just our opinions on what's happening in the world around us. And I wanted to give a style to before I start today, but technology kind of threw me off my game, so let me do it. One is style tips I want to give is about the eyelashes. Now, I don't know how many women in today's world know that eyeliner was invented to create an illusion of having longer lashes or more lashes, right? So there's an alternative to wearing lashes. Lashes to me are supposed to be for special occasions, right? Do you want to have these things on your eyes all the time, damaging your eyes? Over time, it is going to damage your eyes, especially for those who go to their hairdresser and slap on some lashes with weave glue. I'm just saying, I see women in some precarious situations. Right where I live, there's a park right outside my house. And we have something in Trinidad called CPEP, which is a government organization to give people who are unemployed work for a certain amount of time until they can find a job. So it's like a temporary job thing from the government that is given to them. So they come and they cut the grass side of the highways, and they come and they cut community parks like by me and that kind. They paid, right? Until they
Yeah.
could find a job. But I see women out there cutting grass or holding up that banner to shield the grass from hitting people's cars and stuff with these things on their eye, which would only collect dust and mess and muck. What happened to the time when I was growing up? I know times have changed, but something should not change. When you wore certain shoes during the week, not old shoes, good shoes. But if you had a wedding or something or fancy to go to, that's time when you wear a fancier pair of shoes, maybe some different necklace, put on your makeup differently. Why do we feel now that we have to wear these lashes all the time? And I'm telling you, it's because they feel they wouldn't look good without it. They've gotten so, it's like you ladies with women with the weave. I'm not knocking weaves, not against it. What I'm saying is that they feel they can't take it out and get their hair, their scalps a rest because they wouldn't look like what other people look like. It's all a whole competition with everybody wanting to look like the other one. Everybody trying to out, beat out the other one, for want of a better explanation of that. Everybody wants to look a certain way. So everybody wants to look at the woman they see on TV. And they might be surprised if they get a chance to visit one of these homes and see what women look like when they wake up in the morning. They look just like us. They get up on mornings. I wouldn't come on camera without makeup. I will fix my hair and fix my makeup, of course. But if you had seen me this morning, I had a head wrap on, I had an ounce of makeup on my face. I was in my kitchen. I was doing stuff in my house. Because that's how you stay home. You give yourself a rest, right? You give your skin a chance to breathe because I'm also an esthetician, so I'm passionate about good skincare. You give yourself a rest. You don't do this all the time. So there's special occasions to it. But there seems to be a blurred line where that is concerned. So everybody just want to look the same way all the time because a constant competition. There's a constant want to look like these influencers, So you no longer have mentors, people we look up to in our neighborhoods, heroes, a woman who we might have grown up looking at and see her move up the ranks. You know what I mean? Like one of my old clients, her daughter became one of the first astronauts, right? Worked with NASA. And I felt so proud of that young woman because she was one of the first Black women actually to get to that status, actually in Trinidad, that, right? Who emigrated to the States. So that's something to be proud. So that's something I feel a young girl should look and say, wow, look at her. But she's
Yes.
a very simple woman. So they may look at her and not figure, there are no lashes, there are no lengths of weave in her hair, no bundles of weave in her hair. Her nails are not all the way out here. So they may think that but that's somebody who actually, to me, is an influencer. So that word is very misused, used in the wrong way all the time, because a lot. So I want to talk about this today because I'm very passionate about that. We need to stop comparing our lives, right, with what we see as fiction. Because if you look at those people, they are on the Instagram today hugging each other, spreading roses for Valentine's and for their birthday and going to all these fancy stuff and all kind of thing. And the next week, there's going to be a story about separation and divorce. That didn't happen last night, okay? That happened because something was happening. So what they were doing is creating a facade, putting up a front. So I'm not saying not to admire people. I'm not saying not to look to people, because that's what we do in this life. I mean, you can't help but see people, right? This morning I got up early, and I just happened, after I said my prayers and stuff, I just happened to see that Stella McCartney's line was on in fact Paris Fashion Week. I love her designs, and I looked at live Stella McCartney fashion. I love that, right? That was nice for me to start my day, to see nice what she had on the runway for this week. You know what I mean? So, I mean, she's not an influencer in my life, but I like her style, right? There's some people I follow who I like their style. I want us to let people know, talk to those young people today. I'm the older woman who still cannot find themselves, who still cannot decide who they want to be, who they are, who still cannot find their footing in life, to stop beating themselves up, because some of these things have led to people doing things for themselves or doing wrong things to get to a certain place. So, Christine, your take.
Well, it's so interesting, Cheryl, that pretty much everything that you've said this morning, because my style, my own personal style, is to have notes just like you as well. And in preparation for this conversation, hi everyone, Christine Francois here, wellness coach, and totally
Oh, just
focused.
1 second, 1 second, hold a second. Whoa. I mean, I got told that this morning. I am Cheryl Diane Swing, full government name, right? Image consultant, esthetician, international speaker, trainer, author. And so I did not introduce myself. I'm so sorry. Apologies. I mean, things happen sometimes. 15 minutes of trying to get online and can't get online. It threw me off my game. So, Christine, please introduce yourself. I'm so sorry.
Well, the good thing about this is that you and I can just be real because we're two friends having this natural conversation, but also hoping to impart some wisdom because we've been here for a little while. And pretty much most of the things that you've said this morning really resonated with me because in preparation for today's conversation, I read the most amazing article written by Dr. Elizabeth Scott. And in it, it was titled The Stress of Social Comparison. Some of the great points that she raised, and I really every paragraph I read, I said, but yes, that is so true because we cannot escape comparison. It's stuff that
No.
we did when since we were children. We were
Yes.
little and we looked over at the other child and said, what about that toy? I want a toy like that too. And then we went into high school. We will look because we have eyes, right? So we looked around and we saw people we admired. And then as we wanted to go to other schools, like maybe some of us wanted to go off to university, ourselves along with our parents, we were looking at the better colleges, the better universities. Then as we grew older, it was, how do I get the better job, the better man or woman? So our life is about comparison to some degree. We cannot escape it. But as she said, social media has taken this level of natural comparison to a whole other level. And what is challenging about that and really zeroes into your topic of today is when we look at someone's curated best moments on social and believe that this is their total life,
Yes.
or whether or not it could be, in some instances, these are spontaneous moments that are shared, but that is not the whole story. So, quite rightly, our lives are made up of, if you look at, I love pie and I love cookies. I try not to eat them very often, but if you looked at a pie chart, you would see that maybe 10, 15, 20% maybe of those highlight reels. But then there's the other part of life where we just go about being who we are, not feeling that we have to, or I hope not feeling as if we have to impress anyone because we are confident of who we are, in who we are, whose we are, first and foremost, who we
Mhm.
are, and then just getting comfortable with do who you are. Do you not want to constantly improve? Absolutely. I think anyone who's going through this life they want to constantly improve, and that's why we have role models. I prefer the role models and mentors. I'm a little wary of the word influencer, but in our time, we had mentors, we had role models, people we look up to because of um, their principles, the way they live their lives, um, the value that they brought not just to themselves but their families and their communities, and ultimately, like that female astronaut, the country, yes. But one of the things that we have to be cautious about is when we get into the realm of destructive, negative comparison. There are two kinds of comparison Dr. Scott talked about. One was upward comparison, where we look at people who have done better than we have, and we feel motivated to continue growing, learning, and improving ourselves. That's positive. But then there's the other direction where we feel compelled to look down on people who haven't done as well as we have, and therefore there's this measure of superiority. We're better than you. That's not good at all. So looking at other people's lives and thinking, my God, I've failed in life, that's not healthy. It brings about a level of stress, it brings about depression in some instances, low self-esteem, and envy. And those are all things that doesn't do us any good for our mental health, our mental wellness. And it's really just very destructive. But I think let's start at point one. Who are you? That's the question. Who are you? Have you figured out who you are and what that means?
Yep. Yep. For real. But you see, some of that starts with parents. And as parents, I mean, our children are grown, so that ship has sailed for us.
Yes.
And hopefully we didn't do any of those things. I don't think I did any of those things because I've never had that kind of a mindset. But I've heard parents compare their children to other people's children. So it starts sometime in that sort of a thing, you know. That you want your child to be just like so and so, or maybe you have two children in it, and one, you know, is kind of, and some parents don't understand that everybody has developed at their own pace. So they may have a child that's a mover and a shake, another one who takes their time, because that's how they learn, that's how they move, that's their personality, and they'll constantly compare one child to the next. So giving one a complex, right? And then of course there's social media, where there's a lot of negative things on social media. People write things sometimes on. I changed my Facebook page 3 times. But there's certain people I don't want on my Facebook page. There's certain people I don't write anything on my Facebook page. That's those 3 little dots there, block, remove. Because somehow, sometimes, some people just can't say something positive. And they don't know, and they're arguing, but I'm not being negative. That's what I'm thinking. You know, there's one person in particular I can think of right now. But I'm not being negative. I'm just saying, I said, but every time you open your mouth, it is never something to uplift. If what you're saying is not something to motivate, inspire, uplift, help transform somebody's life, then you need to zip it a little bit. Sometimes you
Right.
need to hold back on your thoughts. Not everything you think of. And I'm not trying to be perfect here. What I'm trying to say is that I try to control my thought process, and I certainly control what comes out of my mouth, because you got to be careful what you say to people. Okay? And a lot of this comes from comparison, and you know, and that saying that comparison is the seal of all joy is almost as like if it's written in the gospel. I'm serious. I'm sure there's a hidden book somewhere in the Bible that says that line, because it does take away joy. It has caused people to destroy themselves in
Yes.
more ways than one, sometimes permanently. It has caused people to live in depression for years and years and years. The competition can be really bad and drastic. It is a terrible thing. We need to be careful. Like you said earlier, there are people we can look up to. There are some of my teachers from school I still look up to. I could call names. I could call names. I'm proud of Mrs. Daniel. I'm proud of
Oh,
Mrs. Thomas. Those women,
yes.
beautiful, still beautiful, and ageless, and I don't know what they're doing with themselves, what they're eating, but let me tell you something. I'm beautiful to hang out with. Let me tell you something. Life
Yes.
of a party, any one of them. And they taught me in school. Those are women. I look up to my mother, who I thought was a real good, great role model. She didn't have a university degree, barely had a primary school degree, education for that matter, from back in the day. You know what I mean? Girls, they got married early, and they just, you know, in the school, and you know, you could write your name and you could sign something, you could read the papers. End of story. But she managed life so well because she learned from her children, and she didn't have a closed mind about understanding life. And she was a role model to all her daughters, the 4 of us, and many of her nieces, and even some of her nephews. They still today talk about Auntie Rachel. Because Auntie Rachel was a get up and go, a mover and a shaker. That's the kind of person my mother was. So I was lucky and blessed to have a good role model. Everybody doesn't have that, so I acknowledge that. But as you grow, begin to think about who you are. Begin, because even those who know who they are still don't know who they are. Eh? So they might know who they are, and they get themselves into a whole religious kind of a God thing. And they still don't know who they are, who God made them to be. Who am
Sure.
I? Who do I want to be? Right? So you got to understand, try to understand who you want to be in this life. And when you understand who you want to be, then you can take a pattern. I could take a pattern from Christine today and say, oh, I like that top. I'm going to get one like that. I like, oh, Christine, I love that. Doesn't mean I'm copying Christine. Doesn't mean I see Christine as an influencer. I want to be like Christine. I can admire her glasses and say, I'm going to get some new frames, and I think I want to try those on. When I come to see you, I want to try. I'm going to see how I look in those frames. That's admiration.
Correct.
That's me being able to see something positive, like it, without getting into toxic, getting to putting toxic energy into it. I'm not comparing myself to her in any way. We are two different people. We are friends. We can talk to each other about almost anything, and we are friends. And that's why she's on this stream with me, right? You know, so people need to understand who they are. When they begin to understand who they are going to begin to see open their eyes and think. And you could admire Beyonce if you want. You could admire Rihanna. I'm always using Rihanna's pictures on some of my things. When her positive pictures, I'm using them, right? Because she looks good. I mean, she looks good. She looks good, right? I admire Oprah. To me, Oprah has beaten all the odds in America, living in a place like America with all that racism and black consciousness and all kind of stuff. And I admire her a whole lot, right? The other woman I admire, but I don't want to be Oprah. I don't want to be Christine. I don't want to be Rihanna. I want to be me, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I give God thanks for waking me up in another day. I just want to be me. And I'm not saying I'm encouraged by things are wrong, me, whatever, but I do not want to be comparing myself to anybody else to take away my joy. Because it steals every single thing about you. And for those of you listening, go just Google Valiant Living blog, and there's a lot of good insights there, and there's even a phone number there. I was going to read some stuff from it, but I can't, as you know, because one device will say using the other device, whatever. So anyway, Valiant Living blog, and there's a phone number at the bottom. I guess you can call it for help if you find yourself going down that road. There's too much of that happening. There's too many of us women who get really awful to each other because of the comparison. We say things about and to each other that really is not nice. And that all that comes from that self-esteem that you don't have. Right? Because I have a question. I know you have a point to make. When you make a point, I have a question I want to ask. So go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking that in terms of finding out who you are, it really does mean that you have to pay attention, even for a little bit, because from the time we are young, we start displaying certain gifts, certain talents, certain aptitudes, things that we can be proud of. Like I love animals, you know that. Um, always have. There are times when helping someone else takes precedence for me. And so, because that is important to me, if you did, and I know this sounds kind of corny, folks, but if you looked at yourself like a business, if we were in business, Cheryl, you'd be doing a SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that present themselves because of your strengths? And even looking at what could derail your progress. Those are the threats. What could derail your progress going forward into the future? Now, if you looked at it like that, you would tend to see, well, I have more strengths than I have weaknesses. I can celebrate those strengths. I can use those strengths to find my way in life, and I can have a circle of friends. That's another thing that Dr. Scott talked about, and I'll give you guys 6 great tips later on. But who do you surround yourself with that help to
Important.
uplift you? Yes, that help to
That's
uplift you.
important.
So just as Cheryl was just saying, you know, Christine and I are friends, and that's why we're here together on this call every Monday, having this wonderful conversation with you. But who do you have around you that helps support you, uplift you, show you how wonderful you are? And sometimes where you struggle, your good friends, without being mean, right? Because we don't want any frenemies, but without being mean, are able to show you where you may have some challenges, and they may even be able to help you improve in those areas. So having a great, loving, caring circle of friends, that too is important. That and they help show you where you are, who you are. I did I think I told you a couple of weeks ago, I did this exercise where I had to ask, and you were part of that exercise
Oh,
where
right, right, right.
I asked my number of close friends, just give me 3 words that to your mind best describe me. Now, you can use that same approach with your own personal circle of friends, and let them be thoughtful about it. It's not a random, just pick three words, but it really has to be something that's thoughtful, because those words are going to help guide how you see yourself from the eyes of other people looking in, because many of us think we are one way, but our friends, relatives, and associates may see us in a different light. So having that full 360-degree view of who you are is very, very helpful. And I would recommend that anyone do it. Yeah, Cheryl, I
Yeah.
know you want to talk about this as well.
Yeah. What
Circle of
did I say?
friends. Circle of friends.
Yeah, no. Listen, listen. They say you know a person by the company they keep. They keep, right? And you have to be careful who you're asking to as well. I know you said that, and that's good that you were able to ask me. There's not everybody in my life I'm going to ask to transcribe me, because I know people. Let me tell you something. As a woman, I have had many, many, many hurts in life from female friends. I can't tell you how many times people who I trusted and I felt were my friends, and I gave my all to that relationship, turned out to not be who I thought they would. I can't tell you how many times, how often that happened in my life. And the question I have is, what will make a woman ill speak, or in Trinidad we say bad talk another woman? Tell me what will cause a woman. We know each other, right? But as soon as I finish here with you, I'm going to get on a call with somebody and say something negative about Christine. Instead of I'm telling Christine, today was a little bit over the topic, and it was a little bit. I'm just saying she's not. But I'm just saying. Let's suppose I felt you were going to the left or to the right and not staying on topic. I could say, Christine, let's go back to the topic, right? Or I just continue with her, then I get on a phone call afterwards and I tell somebody, Christine, I run my mouth off, right? What will cause one woman to do it to another woman? That has happened to me so many times in my life. I mean, just recently, there was somebody trying to get in touch with, and I kept calling her and calling her. And I said, but why she not answering my phone calls? Eventually, one day she answered me and she said to me, she has a birthday coming up because we have our birthdays up in the same week. And she said something about, I heard something, I was like, what? I said, listen to me, I didn't want to know what it is you heard. I'm so wary of this kind of behavior from grown women. Because we know each other. And if I hear somebody was to tell me that Christine said X or Y or Z about you, I could ask Christine about it. Not in a confrontational way, but ask her. Because I'm certain that there's probably a conversation that happened and something was mentioned and somebody took that out of context
Sentences.
and came to
Correct.
tell you something, and then you feel as though somebody, just against you, right? It happens all the time. And this is a grown woman. And I'm like, really? I said, well, listen, if that's what you thought about me, I really thought we were friends. I really thought you would know the person I am, okay? I don't want to know who told you because that's making confusion. And I don't want to know what the person said. You're upset with me? I'm sorry about that, okay? Let's move on with life. And I left it right there. We were supposed to meet up to have a conversation, and I didn't push it because I really, nah, you know what I mean? Because I'm quite frankly very tired. This has happened so many times in my life that I'm quite frankly very tired of that. And you know about another incident with two other women too. We belonged to an organization that was supposed to be empowering women. And what happened with one telling the next one and next one, and I was like, you're talking about me? I mean, it's like, what? You know, all that comes from self-esteem, not understanding who they are. That's self-esteem problems. And what happens is that they allow, I mean, that comparison of one another, that thing to cause that kind of an envy, So that thing called comparison, right, really is a destructive thing. And then we step into like social media now, where people spend hours a day. There was a woman on Dr. Phil, hours a day, just scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, just following, just Because she sent her kids off to school and she'll sit there for hours, hours. She gained weight. She didn't clean the house. She didn't prepare proper meals. Totally went off her rockers. And then what she did is to create a site with a picture of somebody she found on Instagram. One of those models, quote unquote models. She wasn't wearing any clothes and hardly anything, like some strings, with big lips and big booty and big boobs and it was kind of over made up and one of those kind. She took that picture and put it up on a dating site and began to catfish other women.
Wow.
Because she said when she looked in the mirror, what she saw frightened her. She ballooned up to maybe and she was a little petite little thing, to almost 200 pounds. So you know that on a short frame, what it looks, what happened. So
Yes.
instead of trying to get herself back healthy again, get her life back together again, she decided to go and catfish other women, right? Because she was so envious of them. That's how far and how destructive those things can go. So we talk about real life fear among peers, among friends and stuff. But we also talk, the real thing I'm talking about is social media. We know, I know, that being in business, we need to be on social media.
Yes.
Plain talk. You cannot expect people to know about you and know about your business if you don't show up. Because we know as business people that people buy us before they buy our product or services. Okay?
Correct.
So we need to show up. So we have to be here. But if I will spend the entire day on my phone or my laptop, just scrolling through and looking to see what other people saying or people doing, and just sitting there and eating, not combing my hair, not you know what I mean, then that puts me in a sort of a situation of a mental situation.
Correct.
We have a lot of mental illness around. I'm not a mental illness coach or expert, but I'm saying with my own normal eyes, I can see there's a lot of mental instability in the world. We know that. And it shows up in different ways,
Sure.
right? It shows up in different ways. There are hoarders, there are overspenders, the people who take a credit card and go and spend all the whole thing on one day. They have different ways. People that all that's mental illness, eh? That's you know a bit much. So we really have to, as women, talk to each other and really try to help each other see better. See, take. You asked a question earlier. How does one become authentic? How does one become, who they are?
Hmm.
Again, surround yourself with the right people. And if
Correct.
you find yourself and listen to talks like this, because there's everywhere. You have Mel Robbins on thing. You have so many people you can go on the internet and start looking at fashion and who have extended booties and who have extended bust line, who have bigger lips and who have whatever it is. Instead of doing that, there's so many other things you can Google, motivational talks, right? Mel Robbins doesn't know me, so I don't have to promote her, but she is one of those good ones who I
She is.
listen to every once in a while. And there are a couple others. If you just put in women who do motivational and inspirational talks, you could get many of them coming up on your YouTube channel, on Google, and you could sit and listen to them. And they will guide you. So you know then, if these are the issues I am having, then I need to get some kind of therapy. I need to go to somebody because that's available to go.
Yeah.
And most countries, like in Trinidad and Tobago, we have social welfare. They do offer you. I mean, it takes a while to get it set up, but they do offer you therapists you can go to, right? They schedule you and you get to see them. If you have the money and you can pay privately, fine, go ahead and do that. But
Yeah.
there's something you can do to help your mental state. Align yourself with the right people and get yourself and look at the right things on television. And YouTube has a lot of stuff. YouTube is chock full of stuff. Go listen to some good women. So, and all these women, or even these women and Better Together TV, they have some stories that they could tell you. You must see them as their TV and their church. No, no, no. You listen to their real life story. They'll tell you some story of real life things and to tell you how they got to where they are today. So it's not just about religion, right? So there are places people can go to get free resources, to be encouraged by others, rather than sitting there and looking at these influencers And I also put my finger in quotes. Because the person who influenced me was my teacher, who influenced me was my mother, who influenced me was my neighbors, people who did things to themselves. So I can't see somebody who's singing a song and hardly any clothes and wind up and on a stage influencing me. No. Money does not influence me. Right? I'm not driven by just wanting money. We all need money. You know what? But we spoke about money a couple of weeks ago. And we know
That's
the
right.
Bible said money answereth all things. So we know that. So we need the money. Not saying anything about the money. But if you only just pursue that, you're going to find yourself in this kind of a model, this kind of a mud puddle here, and find yourself in a lot of problems.
Wow. I mean, yeah, definitely, Cheryl. We're speaking the same language. I think for many people, as you referenced Mel Robbins, and there, as you said, countless others, ladies,
Yes.
whether you are inspired by other women or even inspired by men, either one is good because in some instances men can help you develop as well, as do women. So as you go out there and you ask yourself, who am I? Maybe go on this journey of self-discovery. I think that's your step one. Wanting to do it because you know, and you should know this, that you were born. It may sound cliched, but you were born for greatness. You have all of this beautiful, wonderful potential that's inside of you. And it's just waiting to get out. So sitting in front of or holding on to one of these things all day does not allow that to happen. My perspective on these devices is that if I'm going to use it, let me use it for good. Let me make it work positively for me, right? Whether or not it's helping me with an app, the Bible app, or the Calm app, or taking me to church on Sundays. That's positive use of devices. But also looking at yourself and saying, you know what? I can do this. I wasn't born to wallow in self pity, to be less than, and I have my own gifts and talents. Then, if you say that to yourself, look for people who can help you on that road. Develop, and if you need a friend, to help you on that road. There are a number of coaches out there who can take you on this journey of personal development. Why?
Yes.
Because it will help you become mentally resilient. It will help you to feel better about yourself. Will it be easy? Guess what? No. That's why it's called work. But
Yes.
you find in the work, like Bishop T.D. Jakes always says, it's like going to the gym. You go to the gym to get healthier, stronger, fitter, and the psychological aspect will also help you to feel better as well. What also helps is creating a routine. Do like me. At night or first thing in the morning, I jot down. I prefer to do it at night because I have some thoughts in my head of what I want to achieve for the following day. Just jot it down. It doesn't have to be, it's not rocket science. Okay. What do I want to achieve? And in there, slot in 15 minutes, 20 minutes for your own personal development. There's so many great speakers out there. Go to TED Talks. You'll find Mel Robbins there, Tony Robbins, a whole host. Find a topic of a particular area, aspect of your life that you want to improve. It doesn't have to be, now don't get overwhelmed, but one thing at a time and
Yes.
improve on that. The other thing I just wanted to touch on very quickly, Cheryl, when you were talking about some of your challenging experiences in female relationships. And yes, we've both had instances where it was less than what it was cracked up to be. But
Right.
you know, when you have when you have people around you, when say, well, so and so, when you have relationships where you can look at that person, I remember Bishop talking about this as well, and saying, No, he did not. Or, no, she did not say that because I know this person and that doesn't even sound like them. That again speaks to cultivating solid, genuine relationships. And guess what? You don't have to have 100. If you could count
Yep.
them on one hand, that is enough. That is, and even if it's half a hand, that's
Mhm.
enough. But it's important to cultivate, take the time to cultivate genuine relationships. And as Dr. Scott also said, and something that I have mastered very well, you don't need to cut people out of your life entirely, but you can minimize your exposure to those individuals. And it's not that you hate them because God loves us all and the same
For
He gives
real.
and if same way
Mhm.
he gives me grace, I need to show other people grace. So you know what? You can do that, but you can do it from afar. You can do it from afar. All right. So those are just some of
For
the
real.
things that are on my mind. Um, ultimately, um, you know, one of my coaches asked this morning on social media, he said, what is your definition of success for your, just for yourself? Is it what you see out there? So do you measure yourself against what is deemed success, the fancy cars, the big homes, rocks, diamonds? Is that your measure of success? Are you allowing yourself to measure yourself against those things? And nothing's wrong with those things because for some people that's that's their that's their buzz, you know. But how would you measure your level of success? How would you do that? And I've thought about that, and maybe in my earlier years, I looked on other things and said, this is important or that is important. But as I grew wiser and more mature, and as I saw my children were growing up and, needing to give them a good example, a good role model, those weren't the things that my husband and I focused on. We focused on giving our children great experiences, showing them how to develop great friendships, and how to have fun in a good, clean, healthy way. So, those are just a few of the things I want to encourage ladies, anyone who's listening, really take a moment, maybe more than a moment, to jot down what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? I'm not saying your weaknesses for you to go now and focus on that and say, oh, heck, I am the worst X, Y, and Z. No, it's just to be aware.
Yes.
But then look at your strengths and say, wow, I can do all these things. I am wonderful. I'm great. And then look to see who you have around you, who can help to uplift you, and who can really help to, help you set a foundation for living a healthier life because you do not, absolutely do not need to compare yourself with anyone else.
To anybody else, yes.
Not at all.
You can admire someone else. You can say, "Wow, I like that person's
Of
growth in
course.
life." You can certainly can do it, but to want to pat yourself after that person is really sometimes, like I keep saying,
Intrusive.
self-destructive. One of the things I want to say, I know you said to listen to everybody, but my thing, why I encourage women to listen to women, is sometimes the stories, what they have passed through, is relatable, a little more relatable. A man will probably talk about motivation in a wider sense, but a woman may have a story about her life that will resonate with you, to encourage you to look at yourself differently. And that's why usually I will encourage them to listen to the women. You can listen to the men as well, but find some good females that you can follow and listen to. Find some good ones. Let me tell you something. Life is meant to be lived. For those of you who believe, Christ came and died for us. And guess what? He didn't just die for us to sit down and be mediocre. He died and he said that we need to have to live life and live it more. You see that word more? abundantly. So not
Yes.
just mediocre. And more abundantly means coming to your own, admiring people. There's certain people I like when I was growing up. Right now I can't remember the names of them. You know, you grow up and like, oh, I like that person. I like the way she always looks nice. I like it. So it's not that you can't admire people. Is that if you decide to get on social media or get to some place where you just want to be that person, that is dangerous. Each of
Doppelgangers.
us have our own DNA, a different fingerprint, a different thumbprint. Each of us is very different. So we need to become our own. Even in style. People keep trying to tell me something about fashion. Same thing. I listen to me. I do not do fashion. I don't do fashion. I may guide you as to what to wear, but I do image. And the reason why I like to emphasize that, it's the same thing as you talk about life. Just when you talk about it is supposed to be a holistic thing. Success in life. Having plenty of money. And that's a good way to success. Having the nice cars in the garage, of course. Having the big house, nice. But love, good health. For health is our wealth. Love, good friendships, nice family time, all of that is success. Because if you have the money in the bank account and you're miserable because you're unhappy because something is happening, or you're in an abusive relationship, you're not happy in different things. You have no real friends. You don't trust people because they feel you want your money. They feel they want to be your friends because they have certain things. And you make things your God, then you're not successful. The
Correct.
world sees success as money, but it's holistic. And that's why when I'm talking to people and they try to put me in that style thing, I say, stop. I am an image consultant. You always hear me say, live your style, but I'm talking about your personal brand. It's something I always keep saying because your personal brand is everything. I don't care what designer dress or shoe you wear. If you're not nice and you have a bad attitude, I don't want to be near to you. Okay? If you sell your soul to get a Birkin bag, then no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, right? I personally don't see the benefits of going to these stores and renting these bags to say, this is you have a Birkin, this is say where design. No, I will go to a store and buy a beautiful, well-structured bag and look really nice, and I will use my bag. Not saying if I get a Birkin, I wouldn't take it. But for me to spend $20,000 on a Birkin bag, it has to be a gift from somebody really special. I'm just saying, right? So prioritize who you are, prioritize your life, decide who you want to be. Receive Dr. What's the person's name? Dr. Who?
Dr. Scott.
Dr. Scott. Tell them where they can find Dr. Scott. You can also just Google Valiant Living Blog. It's a really nice blog, and at the bottom there's a phone number. So in case you need to call and speak to somebody, you can talk. If you're living here in Trinidad and Tobago, there are people you could go to in social welfare. There are private therapists you can money to pay for that. Go look after yourself. There are too many of us outside there who live these really uncomfortable lives because we have all of these aspirations of being like this one, and everything's about this one, everything's about that one, everything's about the other one, and we keep comparing ourselves and looking at others and people in this one and people in that one and making ourselves miserable. So that we'll go and steal, right? Just to get the nails and the weave, or we'll go and put ourselves with a man who could pay for it, but he abuses us when he's home, right? He's not nice to us in the house, but because he's giving you these things, or you could just drive a car and every month you're hiding from the bank, right? Because you want to drive this car. Do not do that. That makes, let me tell you, when my bills are not paid, I'm the most miserable person you could find in the whole wide world. The most uncomfortable I could be, right? So you need to try to live a life that is authentic to you. Be real. Find yourself 2 or 3 good friends. None of us need a whole hundreds of friends. If you have 100 friends, I will tell you something. Maybe 95 of them are not really a friend. They're probably around you to get what they could get from you, or they could use you in a certain way. You might just have 5 friends among them. Nobody has 100 real good best friends, right? If I have to get married again, my wedding will be. When I got married, my wedding had 200 guests in it, right? If I'm to get married again, it'll probably have about 25. It will probably have about 25. I'm serious because I've learned over the years that listened to me. All those people who came to see what you were wearing, to find if you was pregnant, to see what the man looked like, to see what if he had money, to see what the food, what the menu, all those things, to see what your ring looked like on your finger. All those people, you really don't need them in your life. You see them, you smile with them, and they go on your way, right? And I have a little short story to tell. I remember you said something earlier too. That sometimes people, I don't remember what you said, but there was a time when I was at La Jolla, that's when I had my first business, right?
Right.
Booming business going really good. And I'd come in every day. I'm busy. It was my first step into entrepreneurship. So every day I'm busy calling clients, fixing things. You have the girls working for you and you're busy, right? So apparently I had a very serious face. What
Right.
some was an attitude. Did not know. Did not know that. Until one day a young lady who worked at the complex there, she was getting married and she said she thought 10 times over before she could come to me and ask me about her makeup and stuff for her wedding. So finally she decided because somebody told her that was good, she did this and then look good. She decided to come and ask. And she came to the door and she said to me, I'm so and so. I said, well, come in, come, welcome. You know, you never come. And she was like, I can't believe you're talking to me. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, I always thought when I see you pass in there that you would not speak to me. And I was so shocked and taken aback by that. I was like, what? And then I started to ask questions and they told me, no, you walk, because I do walk with my head straight up. I do walk with my back straight, right? And I step, and those days when the stilettos were that high, so I'm in my stiletto, so I'm stepping going, I'm stepping going. So, but my mind is on my business. My mind was not on what anybody was, just wasn't on anything else. But sometimes people see you in the wrong light just by the way you carry yourself. I adjusted that. I made it a point to look around and smile and say hi and hello to people. And I have changed my approach. Until somebody told me once, why are you so friendly? There's always a problem, right? I suit you. I said, because that's how God made me. Why are you so friendly? Because I will meet people just like I start talking to them. I'll walk into a room and you swear I knew everybody inside that room. That's how I am.
Yes.
Show off who I am, right? Sometimes you're nervous because depending on what you're going to that room to do. But you don't allow it to come out in anything. You walk into a room, you step in there and begin to speak to people. You smile, you introduce yourself, and you begin to smile. And own your space. Because they owning their space and their spot where they're standing in that room and the chair they're going to sit on. I need to walk in and own my space. So you all need to begin to do that. To own your space. Begin to tell yourself that you're wonderfully and fearfully made. And God didn't say about Eve or about Mary or about Hannah or what. So he didn't pick out a woman in the Bible and say that. He said all of us, every human, short, tall, dark, light, long hair, short hair, fat, thin, every one of us, he said, wonderfully and fearfully made. He said so. And if he's the God who created the heavens and the earth, let me tell you all something. But you, this here, fine, fine, because God said, I am blessed, and he said, I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. Doesn't mean I'm vain or self-righteous, but I own my space, even when I feel new. Because sometimes when I have to speak in certain forums, and I walk in there, you can feel a little intimidated by the people you're meeting there. Everybody's a doctor this, everybody's a doctor that, oh, whatever. So you feel whatever. But you know what? Once you take a deep breath and you walk in,
Yes.
call on the Holy Spirit to just be there with you. And you walk in that space and you smile and you shake the first two people's hands and you go, you sit down. Let me tell you something. And make sure you're looking good. When those colors are right and the outfit is right, that gives you the assurance. People begin to admire you. Oh, where are you from? Oh, I love your jacket. Oh, I love your dress. And you begin to feel better about yourself. And I know these are material things, but those things help.
Of
They
course.
do help. You begin to feel assured. And from the time the words come out of my mouth and begin to speak, it flows like oil. The confidence is all built up in me. So, Christine, let's close out. Maybe final
Sure.
thoughts and the points you're going to make, right? Yeah.
Yes. So thank you again so much. This was really a very, very good, as always, great conversation because we are trending on the same path as always. So, ladies, what I want to encourage you to do based on all that we've said today and that fabulous article by Dr. Daniela Scott, here are some of the tips that I pulled from that article. Number one, find role models. These are not just influencers. These are people that you can pattern your life after. And sometimes it's not their entire life. It may be one or two things that they do well that you might be able to say, ew, that might be a good way for me to improve myself. The second one is to create a support circle. Have friends like Cheryl and I, right? We have our own little support circle and we touch base with each other every couple of days. And then partner up. Partner up, just like Cheryl and I have done, to share our thoughts, our wisdom. We've lived quite a number of years that we can bring this wisdom to you. But Cheryl didn't have to say, I will just want to do this by myself because I want all fame or whatever. She says, hey, Chris, do you want to partner up? Let's do this. Yes, we bring something to the table as a partnership, as a team. Count your blessings. Actively
Oh,
journal on
ooh, wait,
everything.
stop,
Oh,
pause. Say that again. Just say that again.
count your blessings. It may sound, trite, but really, I have a little book that I have here that a very close friend of mine gave me, right? This is my year. And in it, I write all sorts of things. But what I also document are the things that I'm grateful for. I do it in the morning. And I may not write it every single day, but every day I start off with what am I grateful for? I talk to God every morning. I say, God, I thank you for the fact that you allowed me to wake up this morning. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful that my mom is still alive. I'm grateful. A gratitude journal, people. And then when you, as one meditation professional said yesterday, even when you start, it may sound, what am I saying this for? You maybe don't even feel it, but stick with it. Eventually, it will really resonate with you, and you're going to feel that love pour out of your heart. Cultivate altruism, giving without any expectation of getting anything back. Just being kind and loving. You might be in the grocery one day and you see someone standing behind you. It could be simple, standing behind you. You've got a full tray of a full trolley of groceries, but the person behind you just has a couple of things. Let them go ahead of you. It makes you
Yes, yes.
so good. And then
Mhm.
lastly, folks, ladies, avoid frenemies. These are the people you think you're your friends, but they're really not your friends. Be very discerning about who you allow into your life and speak over your life. Bear those things in mind. And remember, if you need help, you can reach out to Cheryl and I. We're always here willing to render some advice. As you know, I'm a wellness coach focused on mental wellness. And so, yeah, reach out to us. We'll be happy to share our thoughts with you, and we will be dropping the information that we shared today in the comment section. Take it away, Cheryl. It's all yours.
Christine's intro video, her link tree thing is there, and my website is also there, right? So she's link tree / you know how to put it in, right? Link linkt.rw / Christine Francois is spelled on this thing right here, and I am Cheryl. Like my says Cheryl Diane, right? Speaks.com. It's in that intro video. You can find us. We can talk to you. That's what I do on a daily basis. That's my life, to help empower women to live the best life they can. For us to live the abundant life that Christ died for us for. I'm a Christian woman. I don't preach, but I teach, right? And I try to live by example, right? And if I can't help you, I will try to direct you to someone else who I feel might be better equipped to help you. So we're asking you all to like and subscribe. We got some new subscribers over the last couple of days, and
Thank
because I shared the
you.
link out, yes. So like and subscribe to our subscribers. We thank you for subscribing to our channel, and tell your friends about it. Sensible, good conversation that people pay hundreds of dollars to go to. If you go to a conference, with those that I speak at and stuff, you get this kind of information there, but you pay at least $400
Yes.
to sit in that audience and get this information. So you're getting it here on a weekly basis every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here to chat with you, right? So what can I say? That's it. I'm Cheryl Diane. I will say who I am before we leave. So I'm Cheryl Diane, and I am an image consultant, not a fashion stylist. Fashion does come into play in it, right? But I'm image. I'll help you with your overall personal branding. I'm an esthetician. I believe in skincare. We're properly qualified. Keep updated to my skills all the time. I'm an author of 2 books. They're available on Amazon. If you go to my website, you'll find the link state right there, right? I'm a trainer. I speak to corporate companies and on stages worldwide. Yeah, so Christine, say who you are.
Hi,
Again, let them know
guys.
what you do.
So, former banker and corporate communications executive, a business development coach, and event company owner. And I am a wellness coach focused on helping you achieve your best life through mental wellness and taking care of your gut where it all starts. So, we love you and thanks for listening to us today.
Right, right. And we'll be here again next Monday, God willing, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Pray that I have no technical difficulties next time. I'll tell you what, for whatever reason, StreamYard did not want to add Christine. I don't know what she did, but they didn't want to add her, right? But I was determined. So I had to change devices and then I got her on screen. So next week I will check and see what that technical thing is. And next week we're ready to go and give it another really good topic. Things to uplift, never to pull down. And remember,
Amen.
choose your friends carefully. Choose your friends carefully. God loves you. You are wonderfully and fearfully made. There's no one like you. Nobody else has your footprint. Nobody else has your thumbprint. Nobody else has your DNA. You are you all by yourself. Okay? Right. Take care. And we see you again next week.
Bye.
We are still live. I don't know what people are seeing, but we are still live. It's frozen for whatever reason. Lord, let me do this all over again. Let me see what's happening here.